Hello all, welcome to the channel Smart Study with Shivani. In the previous video, we studied about forces and magnetism, chapter from the Science Grade 5 British National Curriculum. Taking it forward, today we will be studying about gravity and satellites. In last video, we studied about definition of force, unit of force, measuring instruments used for measuring force, and different types of forces. Along with that, I gave you the quiz. You can see the answers. You can cross-check them with your answers. Now we will start our today's topic, which is satellite. In simple terms, an object that moves around a larger object. In scientific or in technical terms, an object which is in space. The word space here is very important. So an object in space that orbits or circles around a bigger object is called satellite. There are two types of satellites, natural and man-made satellite, which is also called as artificial satellite. Over here we can see an image which has three objects. One is the moon, earth, and the sun. Moon moves around the earth and earth moves around the moon moves around the earth and earth moves around the sun. So earth and moon both are called the satellites, but they are natural satellites. Now we will study about gravity. In last video we defined the term gravity. Gravity is the pull or the attraction which the earth exerts on the object. It mainly depends upon two factors. One is the size or the mass of the object, and second is the distance between the objects. Here we will take the example of earth and moon. Earth is in bigger size than moon. So the larger object has the greater force of gravity. The closer the two objects are, the stronger is the force of gravity between them. We will study with the help of an example. Over here we can see that earth and moon are there, where moon is having a definite path which is called as orbit. We can see the blue arrows coming towards the earth. So the blue arrow represents earth pulling the moon, or the force of gravity the earth exerts on the moon. Second is that earth is larger in size than the moon, so it exerts a greater force of gravity on the moon. Now about the green arrow. Green arrow represents moon pulling the earth, or the force of gravity the moon exerts on the earth. From this topic, the possible questions which can be asked are: gravity depends upon which two factors? Which is greater, the pull of gravity that moon exerts on earth, or pull of gravity that earth exerts on moon, and why? Similar question: which is greater, the pull of gravity that sun exerts on earth, or earth exerts on the sun, and why? Now this question you have to think and answer. A satellite is orbiting around the earth. What will happen to the satellite if earth doesn't exert gravity pull on that satellite? About artificial satellite. An artificial satellite is an object which man has made and launched into orbit using rockets. Currently, there are 3000 plus active satellites orbiting the Earth. Satellite travels at a high speed, at an enormous speed, to overcome the force of gravity, pulling it towards the center of the Earth. Over here, we can see the image of the satellite which is orbiting around the Earth. The white arrow which is towards the Earth, it shows that Earth is exerting gravity pull on that satellite, because of which it is following a definite orbital path which is represented by the red arrow. At a certain distance above the Earth, satellite keeps moving at the same speed in an orbit around the Earth. Gravity keeps pulling the satellite towards the center of the Earth, which is shown by the white arrow pointing towards the Earth, and thus it is orbiting. If there is no force of gravity, then it would have followed the straight path which has been represented by the white arrow in the downward direction. Now we will study about uses of satellites. First use is about weather forecasting. Satellites take photographs of the Earth's surfaces which are then sent back to the scientists. Scientists study them and help them to make the weather predictions. Over here, you can take the permission of your parents and take their smartphones and see the Google app which has weather predictions. It will be like the below image. It will show for the entire week, wherein on Monday it is sunny, on Tuesday it is partly cloudy, Wednesday and Thursday it will rain, Friday it will be fully cloudy. So from here you can predict about the future weather. Another use is of the navigation, which is GPS, Global Positioning System, which helps to track the exact location on the ships, aeroplanes, even in the moving cars. Again, with the help of the smartphone, you can see on the Google map that if you enter a source which is your home location, and as a destination you enter some restaurant name or the school name, then it will show the result that how far the school or the restaurant is from your source or the home place. It will also show that in how much time you will be reaching that place along with the traffics and where all you have to take the turns. Next, we will study about education, how satellites are useful in the education. EduSat is the name of the satellite which has made it possible that distance classes education from the school level to the higher education, whereby sitting at your home also you can learn from a professor who is very far or in the second corner of the world, like in US, UK, anywhere across the world in the real time. Next is about ISS, International Space Station. It is an artificial satellite that has scientists living on it for years at a time. Communication. It provides TV signals, cell phone calls, video calls using WhatsApp. Over here on the switch of the remote control, you can change the channel, you can watch your favorite cartoon, favorite serials. All this is possible because of the satellites. Now we will go ahead and study about the friction. Friction is a type of force which exerts between the two surfaces that are trying to slide past each other. It acts only on the moving objects. This is a very important term to understand, that friction always occurs on the moving objects and it occurs between the two surfaces which are trying to slide past each other. It always works in the direction opposite to the direction of the moving object. So for example, if I want to walk in the forward direction, friction will work in the backward direction. So that is an opposite direction. This results in slow down of the moving object. Friction is less on the smooth surface rather than the rough surface. So chances are more that we slip on a smooth surface. Over here with the diagram, it is very well explained that purple color square object, we are pushing the force, we are applying the force, so it is in motion in the forward direction. Whereas because the object comes in contact with the green surface, so there is a friction and which is in the opposite direction, making it backwards. So result is the slowdown of the motion. Another example is of cycle. While we are cycling on a road, we are pushing the cycle so that we move in the forward direction. But the friction which exists between the cycle tires and the road, it makes it slow down. Few other examples of friction are between the tires of a moving car and a road. Friction between the bottom of your sneakers or the shoes and the ground. Now we will study about forces in water. Whenever the objects are moving in water, there is a force called water resistance that slows the objects or the things down. Water resistance is also called as drag because it drags back the moving object. So basically it pulls the object or prevents the motion of the object. The shape of the object plays an important role in reducing this drag, which is the streamlined shape like that of a fish. This will cause less disturbance of water and thus will have less drag or less water resistance. To overcome this force, we need to apply force, which is called the applied force, to keep the object in motion. Whenever we try to push the ball into the swimming pool, it will not sink. Rather, it will float on the water. The reason behind this is the force in the water which acts in the upward direction, which pushes the things up. This force is called the upthrust. Over here, the image, you can see that ball is there which is floating on the water surface of the water. A man is inside the water playing the water games, but still water is not the ball is not sinked into the water. Over here, two forces which are acting are gravity, which is pulling towards the earth's center, and the upthrust, which we have recently studied. Second is the example of a moving ship in sea waters. Over here, first we will study that how many forces are applied on a moving ship. First is the gravity, which is pulling from the earth's center. Upthrust, so that the ship floats on the water and doesn't sink. Water resistance or a drag, which prevents the motion of the ship in the forward direction. And the applied force in terms of the engines using fuel to make the ship move in the forward direction or in the desired direction. Now in the image we will show how and in which direction the force will exert. Gravity towards the center of the earth, so from top to bottom. Upthrust in the opposite direction. So we can say that gravity and upthrust are working in pairs and they work in the opposite direction. Next is the applied force, which helps the ship to move in the forward direction. And other is the drag or the water resistance, which prevents the motion of the ship in the sea water. So in total there are four forces which are acting on a moving ship. Now we will talk about air resistance. Air resistance pushes against a moving object and it slows down the motion of the object. It depends upon the surface area of the moving object. Larger the surface area of the object, more is the air resistance. So the object will fall down slowly. Here in this image, you can see that there are two objects. One is the feather and another is the stone. So friends, what do you think? Which will fall first, feather or a stone? Think and answer. So over here, a stone and feather are falling from the same height. But still, stone will fall fast as compared to feather, as stone is having smaller surface area compared to the feather. And just now we read that for higher air resistance, surface area should be larger. That's why the stone will fall first because of the smaller surface area. In other words, we can also say that the two objects, feather and the stone, are independent variables. Time taken by them to fall is the dependent variable, because time depends upon the surface area of the two objects. So time is a dependent variable and objects are independent variables. That's all from my end. Thank you. Hope you like the video and do subscribe the video and the channel. Thank you.